If you're interested in the paranormal, you have most likely heard of the house on Round Top Road, or more commonly known as the Conjuring House in Burrillville, Rhode Island. Recently, there have been some concerning updates and allegations regarding the property and its ownership that I feel is important to talk about. I'm going to give a super brief overview of the history of the location, but you can skip to this timestamp to hear the more recent news. The house is currently located on what was originally the home of the Nipmuc people. Then Roger Williams, a Puritan theologian, acquired the land and then established the Providence Plantation in 1636. The land was deeded to and surveyed by John Smith in 1680, who was one of the original Virginia colonists. At some point in between the time of 1725 and 1736, the house that is currently on the site was built. The property passes through many families, and according to the Conjuring House website, the estate transferred through marriage from the first colonists, the Richardson family, to the Arnold family. From the Arnold family, it transferred to the Butterworths, and then to the Kenyons before being purchased by the Perrins in 1970. In 1980, the Schwartz family purchased the property and sold it to Norma Sutcliffe in 1987. So, in regards to the paranormal history, it all starts in 1971 when Roger and Carolyn Perrin move into the farmhouse with their 5 daughters and pet dog. This is the family that the Conjuring films are about, and the family that experiences the alleged haunting. For the sake of this video, I won't be delving into their experiences, but if you would like me to, let me know in the comments below and I can make a follow-up video all about it. Soon, renowned paranormal investigators at the time, Ed and Lorraine Warren, get wind of the hauntings of the Perrin family. Before I continue, I want to give a huge thank you to Stevi from the Truth or Demons podcast. She is extremely educated on the history of the Warrens and conducts so much solid research to find the truth about their cases. She helped me source some information for this video, so please give Stevi's channel a visit. It'll be linked in the description. I would also like to shout out Jaime Rubio, who has done extensive research to bring to light the true history of the Conjuring House and the property. You can read Jaime's work on her blog called Deconstructing the Conjuring House. There's also a very helpful article from the Skeptical Inquirer explaining these myths as well. Everything mentioned in the video will be linked in the description below. But back to the history. In October 1973, the Warrens visited the house and started investigating. According to Andrea Perrin, the eldest Perrin daughter, the Warrens were fired from the case after a seance had gone wrong in August of 1974. The Warrens would then hesitantly check back in on the family a few weeks later. Immediately after the Warrens' investigation at the house, they began to share their experiences with the public, much to the dismay of the parents. Stevi actually shared with me a newspaper clipping from August of 1976 that shows the Warrens were planning to talk about the bewitched farmhouse, ghosts, witches, demons, recordings, slides. Very exciting. Later, the Perrins sold the house sometime in 1980 to the Schwartz family. Also in the early 80s, Tony Spera, the son-in-law of the Warrens and current owner of the Warren Museum, wrote an article about the house and its hauntings. In 1987, the Schwartz family sold it to Norma Sutcliffe and Gerald Helfrich. They would be the ones to renovate the property, and they lived in it for many years without any paranormal incident. So while Norma and Gerald are living there, Andrea Perrin shared her experiences in the house in her book, House of Darkness, House of Light, published in 2011. In 2013, the Conjuring film was released, and it gave the house a huge amount of unwanted attention. It was still the private home of Norma and Gerald at this point, and they were constantly dealing with trespassers and harassment. The couple tried to sue Warner Brothers in 2015, but the case was seemingly dismissed in 2016. We can see that starting in the 80s and into the early 2000s, there were more and more pieces of media being published covering the story of this house and its supposed hauntings. Eventually, in June of 2019, Norma and Gerald sell the Conjuring House. It was purchased by Corey and Jen Heinzen for $439,000. They used the house as their residence, but also started the paranormal touring and overnight business that is currently operating there. That is, until they sell it to Jacqueline Nunez in May of 2022 for $1.5 million. Corey and Jen have stated that they sold it due to health issues and the pressure of running the business. I know a lot of people loved Corey and Jen as the owners, but it is a very old property and has become a huge business. I can understand how that would become stressful. But Corey and Jen continued to be involved in the operations of the house as employees under Jacqueline. So now Jacqueline owns the house. New employees are hired and new experiences start to come about, like camping, which is called gamping for ghost camping. I'm not sure exactly when gamping started, but from the Facebook page, it looks like it could have been sometime early 2023, but I could be wrong. Since the property has been offering tours during the day and investigations overnight, a lot of paranormal content creators visit the house to record there. There are too many channels to even try to mention, but there were those who had conducted interesting investigations, as well as some who were honestly disrespectful and, in my opinion, there just for the views. In October of 2023, Sam and Colby, two prominent YouTubers who have visited the house before, come back for their Hell Week series and post videos all about the Conjuring House and their investigation. This introduces a wider audience to two of the newer employees under Jacqueline. They are Cody and Satori Hawes, who is the daughter of Jason Hawes from Ghost Hunters. Now, Cody and Satori display a certain method in Sam and Colby's videos that involves holding hands and hearing knocking noises to spell out words and communicate with spirits. As a side, it's during these videos and others from different channels that I started to notice a certain decor and furniture choice in the house, like Ouija boards and a weird amount of Raggedy Ann dolls. These items seem to be there more to add a spook factor than anything historical and a way to advertise that the Warrens had been there and bring in business. Although, to be fair, I do think that this kind of decoration style was present when Corey and Jen owned the house as well, but this is a topic that I'll round back to later on. During the Hell Week series, many folks, YouTubers, and audience members alike became extremely skeptical of Cody and Satori's methods. There is a lot that happened during this time period, but that is not the focus of this video, so I'm not going to dive into it. The Conjuring House and its employees received quite a bit of backlash after this. Many channels, including John Wolf, Beardo, Side-Eye Guy, and Mythos, started discussing the topic, which caused the current owner, Jacqueline, to respond in March of 2023. The Conjuring House Facebook page posted their official statement regarding the backlash, which has since been removed. This is the start of some concerning public behavior from the business, and many felt unwelcomed after reading it. In my opinion, skeptics and questions should be encouraged and not turned away. I'll read some highlights, so if you want to read the whole thing, I suggest pausing. To the paranormal community, many of you have dedicated your lives to exploring locations in the hopes of capturing evidence of spirit existence. Recognize that when you attack or refuse to support other members in our community, that you are also attacking yourselves and the evidence that you have captured in your investigations. If Cody and Satori are frauds, they are not, what does that say about the EVPs, thermal images, or other evidence that you have documented? Your evidence is much more suspect than the physical evidence that is heard by all when they have experienced the method by Cody and Satori. I ask you to consider the ramifications on our field by participating in destroying the reputation of people who are doing their honest best to capture authentic evidence. It hurts all of us. To the disbelievers and debunkers, you have passed your opinions and personal narratives off as facts. This includes Mythos Paranormal and Bad to the Bone Paranormal, among others. There have been threats made, cyberbullying captured, and proof of your lies collected by many who have witnessed your actions. You are prudent to take note that your slanderous claims and defaming lies are illegal. Mostly, I am addressing you to tell you that THC, the Conjuring House, does not care about you. This post starts a lot of dialogue between content creators, especially in the debunking community. Now, to my knowledge, nothing else happened too publicly for a while, but things started to brew behind the scenes. On June 23rd, 2024, both Satori and Cody posted this on their Instagram, and it reads, "To correct the rumors that are circulating, it is with heavy hearts that we must inform everyone that we, Corey, Jen, Satori, Cody, Reed, Steve, and Aaron, decided to sever ties with the Conjuring House due to our own experiences within that work environment. Our connection to the spirits of the house remains strong, and we deeply desire for their stories to be told with respect and care. We are incredibly grateful for the outpouring of love and support from all of you. Rest assured, we will continue our work within the paranormal community with the utmost love, respect, honesty, and integrity. Thank you, Corey Heinzen, Jen Heinzen, Satori Hawes, Cody Desbeans, Reed Botker, Steve Mills, and Aaron Bush. Apologies if I mispronounce any of those last names. So now a lot of people are wondering what's going on. Then, around a month later, on July 11th, another Facebook post appears talking about the employee turnover, which has some surprising language. I think it's important to note that this was edited a day after it was posted to remove some names of employees that were formerly listed. Maybe they left after the original post was made. It uses some pretty colorful and, in my opinion, unprofessional wording to be coming from a business. Like the other Facebook post I read, I'm just going to read certain parts, but feel free to pause and read the whole thing. Happy July, everyone. I am hearing about a lot of hateful rambling from people who are not in the Conjuring House supportive mood by the sounds of it. As you may know, TCH is the most famous haunted location in the world. We attract hundreds of people from around the globe per month to Burrowville, Rhode Island to partake in one of our fracking experiences. I am told that some members of the paranormal community and government officials keep attacking TCH. There are many wonderful paranormal investigators and honest government people who have consistently supported the paranormal field. Many members of the paranormal community have commended the expansion of experiences at TCH to broaden the interest in paranormal activity that demonstrates the continuity of consciousness. As to the others, whatever. We really do not care about people who abuse and attack people. We consider them evil and wicked people. In fact, we never want any person with these personality afflictions to visit us at TCH. So, if you are among the wicked mood personality challenged, then stay away. After that post was made, Satori and Cody responded a little bit on an Instagram live stream on Satori's account. They mentioned that they would be correcting the alleged misinformation on a live stream on Jason Hawes' YouTube channel. It was titled, Conjuring Drama. What is really going on? With the thumbnail at the time reading, The Conjuring Drama, Exposed, but this has since been changed. I also want to mention that I think around this time, the Conjuring House Instagram page had been shut down. I went to go find it and nothing was coming up. And comments in Satori's livestream were also mentioning this, so either it got taken down or they took it down themselves. The stream on Jason's channel was to discuss why they left. It was a panel consisting of Jason Hawes and his friend Jim, who he works with a lot, and former employees of the Conjuring House, including Satori and Cody, Reed, Aaron, Corey and Jen, the previous owners, as well as Steve, who was also a part of TAPS. Now, I'm going to give a recap of what happened in their live stream, but I strongly encourage you to go and watch that stream after for yourself, to hear from all of them and to get their point of view on the situation. The first thing that was brought up that I found shocking was the reason why the current owner actually owns the house. They explained that she filed a lawsuit against them and put a lien on the house, which Corey and Jen say prevented them from looking at other potential buyers. I'll insert a clip of them talking about it, but again, please go and watch the full live stream to hear their story.
Long story short, she felt entitled to it and put a lawsuit on us. She put a lien on the house and stopped us from looking at other people to purchase the house. She felt that an agreement that we signed, which was null and void in the state of Rhode Island, according to our lawyers, she felt that she was entitled to that house.
I think kind of what it came down to is I told myself I'd remember what it was called. No. What we signed to begin with before we sat down for the purchase and sales agreement.
Yeah.
We broke that contract before we sat down with her for the purchase and sales agreement because our realtor had assured us that in the state of Rhode Island it's not against the law. So we backed out after, I don't know if we can, actually I know there's things that we can't get into like financially. So there are reasons behind, there are multiple reasons I should say behind why we backed out to begin with. And I will take some personal guilt on that because I did feel backing out before we sat down to talk to her was bad on our part. but it was also not going to go the way she wanted when we sat down anyways. Her closing date that she needed to do was way too long. So long story short, we decided to not sign the purchase and sales agreement. She put a lien on the property in order to continue to go to court multiple times out of our pocket. It was either sit down and discuss it with her, and which we did. The realtor suggested, let's just talk this out. She really loves the property. She clearly is fighting for it. Maybe that just shows how much she loves it. And we sat down with her. I'll be honest, I loved her. I thought she was great. I thought she showed the love for the property as well. I thought she showed the initiative, that she was willing to fight for something that she really wanted, and this is a decision that we made. And yeah, looking back now, I can see how she strong-armed. I can see how she put us in a position where we felt like we had no other choice.
Jason also mentioned that he helped out a lot on the property regarding an incident where the basement had been flooding, which is another thing that I'd like to talk more about later. They discuss how the Facebook post on July 11th stating that they had all been fired was incorrect, because in reality, they sent their resignation letter in April. Jason starts talking about how after the resignation letter was sent out, employees started receiving vicious text messages. They started as begging them to come back and work with the owner, but then they turned angry when the employees declined. They allegedly started to turn into threats of legal action. Keep in mind that this is 2 months after they delivered the resignation letter. The Facebook post goes up about them being fired. The first text messages that they show on stream are an accusation from the current owner, Jacqueline, about alleged theft. Essentially, the booking company she uses to do events was getting back to an inquiry she made, but contacted Corey, the old owner, by accident instead. Corey mentioned in the stream that it was clear that the company was trying to get in touch with her and not him, but by this point, it had been months since they had resigned and had not talked to Jacqueline. But they forwarded the call to her since that was the right thing to do. After this, though, they were sent these text messages accusing them of stealing money. From clues in the text, it looks like Jacqueline had been contacting the booking company dealing with a concern about missing funds. And she started accusing Corey and Jen of being involved somehow because the company accidentally called them. In my opinion, this continues to show a level of unprofessional communication. I will say Corey responded in a heated manner to this accusation that you can see on the live stream, and while I don't condone the language that he used, I can understand his frustration. Jacqueline also mentions that this is supposedly happening to other paranormal experience-focused businesses, which, if that's true, why would it be Corey and Jen? Like, they're the ones stealing money from all these other places that they're not connected to? Very strange. There were also some recent texts that were sent to Satori, supposedly out of the blue, months after they had resigned and had no contact with Jacqueline. The owner claims that she's been hearing these rumors that Cody and Satori are supposedly spreading. Specifically, she mentions that the spirits are telling her this, and that is a really concerning thing to read. She then goes on to talk about someone that Satori had hired that had burned down a barn on the property. It's interesting because Jason mentions that Satori hadn't been spreading rumors. In fact, Jacqueline was actually at their 4th of July party. Keep in mind that this live stream was on July 12th, so July 4th is not that long ago. Satori also mentions that these were sent a couple of days before that Facebook rant post. So back to that mention of a burned barn. This barn was storing some items, including some personal belongings to Satori and maybe Cody as well. From my understanding, I believe it was going to turn into some kind of spooky haunted object museum as well as an event space. What happened was that Steve, who was on the live stream, was hired and supposedly given the okay by the owner to stain some wood in the barn. Unfortunately, he accidentally disposed some of the rags he was using incorrectly, which caused a chemical reaction to start a fire. And this happened sometime in early December, according to Cody. This is a real thing that happens to a lot of homeowners. I've definitely heard about it before. What happened was horrible, but it was an honest accident. This barn project was a joint thing between the owner and Cody and Satori. They had agreed that they should be reimbursed for the items that they unfortunately lost in the fire. In the live stream, Jason's actually reading these text messages out loud, and they're not on screen because certain private information was not blocked out. So if you want to hear those, you should definitely go and watch the stream. But essentially, the owner refuses to reimburse them because she states that since it was a contractor that Satori had hired, it was kind of their fault. Steve says this is not true, that from his understanding, it was the owner who gave him the okay to do the work. Interestingly, a comment on the stream mentions how when they visited the Conjuring House, they were told that this was a paranormal fire. Of course, this can't be confirmed, but I just thought it was interesting to share. On the stream, they actually mentioned that the owner didn't show up when an insurance person came by to discuss the incident that had happened. This is not the only time they will be talking about the owner allegedly not showing up when she should have. Reed, an ex-employee of the Conjuring House, who was one of the last few to leave, talks about his experience with the owner consistently not showing up when needed, and they showed text messages from the employees to Jacqueline. In this message, they bring up the flooding basement again, but also mention they needed a jack installed to prevent a floor from collapsing, and that employees hadn't been paid. There's also another list of issues that seemingly the employees had been unable to get Jacqueline to acknowledge and fix. At the end of this message, Jacqueline says that she'll show up that night at the house, but she doesn't. And then she says she'll show up the next day. Jen mentioned that Jacqueline did not show up the next day for the tours that she said she would run, and she only showed up later that night. These accusations are backed up by some reviews I found on Google and also some comments on the stream chat. Also, I found these 2 reviews when grabbing screenshots, and I just thought they were pretty funny. I felt like this was an important story to uplift and share. I love the paranormal, and I'm a believer, but I've noticed a concerning trend with properties that are both historical and supposedly haunted. There are real, documented, historical facts, important artifacts and sites that need to be preserved if we want future generations to be able to experience and learn from these places. This isn't just about the Conjuring House, it's about all locations that are running primarily as haunted experiences. In my opinion, it's important for places to prioritize historical preservation first, and then offer paranormal things on the side. Many haunted locations actually use their ghost tours and overnight bookings as ways to help raise money to keep up the property and help preserve it. From my observation, it seems like the opposite is happening at the Conjuring House. Yes, it has become famous due to a supposed haunting and the film, but it's also a beautiful old property with non-paranormal stories that should also be preserved. Seeing the overly spooky decor and the gamping pop up in the offerings, it seems like things are operating to elevate the spooky factor rather than preserving the history. Honestly, I worry about the gamping and how it might be affecting the land and wildlife there. In the text messages, it seems like the house might literally be falling apart with the basement flooding and possibly a floor collapsing. This place sounds like it needs a lot of serious work. I will give credit where credit is due. It seems like Jacqueline has actually fixed an old bridge that was falling apart that connects the property to an old cemetery. But I was curious, and I reached out to the local historical society, and they actually confirmed that the house isn't under their protection, and they are worried about the preservation of the property. They mentioned that the cemetery attached to it has actually been vandalized due to the incorrect facts spread about the history and the hauntings. Now, I'm just sharing my opinion. In no way am I encouraging folks to not stay and investigate. That's totally up to you. I just hope that Jacqueline, the current owner, considers taking a pause on the paranormal stuff and focuses her energy into making sure that the house and the grounds are properly preserved and restored. Maybe hire some managerial staff, a PR person, possibly team up with the local historical society. But that's everything that I've seen come out thus far. I've done my best to try and collect everything that has been said correctly. Hopefully I haven't missed anything, but you'll let me know if I do. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I actually had a completely different video planned for my first video on this channel, but I just felt like this was too important to ignore. So my next video will be what I originally planned to post, which is the origins of a very popular paranormal theory that I am sure that you've heard of before. If you've learned something from this video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing for more paranormal related content. Thank you so much, and I look forward to chatting with you next time. Bye!